Welcome to Planning Phase Syndicate, episode 121. We're going to be talking about resistance meta tonight, the strengths, the weaknesses, how to play the list, whether you should be taking Lando over Poe. We're also going to be talking about new store champs that we have, and probably a little bit about the St Laurence Open that happened up in Canada, I believe, earlier today and yesterday. If that wasn't enough, we're also going to be covering our stances on what we feel is the best faction to be playing right now. And is Scum still the worst? We don't know. We got some statistics. We're going to have some opinions, and we're going to kind of go from there. With that being said, let me bring in my co-host for tonight. Please welcome Alex, the Benchwarmer, tonight. How are you tonight, sir?
Oh, I'm doing well. I finally got to sit down and watch a Lions game for the first time this season, and now I'm really oddly nostalgic. It's great.
Yeah, I know you jinxed it.
The Wings scored as much as the Lions did today. Just throwing that out there.
Also joining me is JJ, the not so good luck Lion. How are you tonight, sir?
I'm doing all right because my actual real team, the Giants, won today. Finally, their second win of the entire season.
It's not your real
but
team.
That's my real team, man. That's my real team.
No.
Yeah, man.
The Lions are your new team. That's just how this works.
But JJ rocking the Honolulu blue, though.
Yes,
I love it. Just
for those tropical Lions fans out there.
That's when you need that little stupid straw hat.
So tonight we have a good episode for you. I will say I am a little underprepared tonight. I tried my best to get prepared. I was in the hospital from Tuesday through Saturday. So there was a lot going on. I was up and down from the hospital, taking kids to school, doing all sorts of stuff. My daughter had her surgery this Tuesday, and we'll call it a success, I guess, at this point, without spending the next half hour, 45 minutes going over the details of it. Essentially, the tumor came out, and they're biopsying part of the lung, and they believe that we are probably in the clear of all active tumors. We'll still be having to take medication for the next 2 years. It's not chemo, but it's like that. So that was my fun week. I don't think I slept more than 5 hours a night until last night when I got 7 hours, and that was a miracle at that point. And none of it's been good sleep, but she is home. She's rested. We played a lot of Mario Wonder. I will tell you, if you haven't played Mario Wonder, when you get the little Wonder seed drug, it's like an acid trip. That's what it's like. Like, all of a sudden, the screen turns all these funny little colors, and you're an elephant in one of them. You know, like you get to blow bubbles that you can jump on in another one. So I don't know. It's
I actually been wanting to get that. I forgot that came out this week. But I'm saving it for a Christmas present for my daughter. So. Can't wait to get that.
Yeah.
I've never heard of this game. That looks fun.
Yeah,
it's the brand new Mario side scroller that they have. It's better than the 3D stuff. I do not like the 3D stuff as much. In my opinion, this is the better. This is the old school Mario, right? Just with graphic upgrades and stuff. So, but we won't give too many spoilers. I don't want to spoil it too much. I will say, I'll tell you a real quick funny story. My daughter, the day after, or the second day after, she wanted to watch some TV. So I had brought my laptop up and we hooked it up to the hospital TV. Because, of course, they don't really have cable anymore. They have like an in-house movie service is what they have. And like, not that they have bad stuff, but it's just, I don't know. It's not all my thing. I don't know how many Spider-Man movies I need to really watch multiple times. So, and none of them were Into the Spider-Verse. So.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, because we could have watched that once, but no, they didn't have that on there. So I hooked it up, and she wanted to watch Loki because we hadn't seen either of the episodes, and we put it on, and this guy comes in the clean, and you can see him, and he's kind of like doing this, and so I paused it, and I said, "Hey, have you not seen this yet? And he's like, no, no, no. I was like, I'll tell you what. Would you like me to pause it for a few minutes? I'll give you 5 minutes to clean if you want. And you don't. I won't spoil it for you. He's like, oh, that'd be really nice. I haven't had a chance. I'm going home tonight to watch it. Like, all right, that's fine. I know how that is. And then I gotta tell of course, then I gotta tell him about my Discords and all the other shit that we do and why we don't do spoilers and stuff like that. But he got out of there pretty quickly. I don't know if I annoyed him or if he was just trying to be nice so we could watch the show. So, but anyway, JJ thought it would be fun to do an opener with ships that don't exist yet. So we're gonna flip over to do that, and I'm gonna start with mine first, and then he can do his after mine. Since he decided to spring this on us at the last minute.
Okay.
So what we did is we took the new ship from Ahsoka, the T6. It's a T6, right, guys?
Yeah, T6 Jedi shuttle. Yeah, correct.
I don't know why you're asking me.
All right. Let me just mute Alex for the next 5 minutes because he's not. So we decided to come up with some stuff. We have some different stats. I created a ship that has a turret instead of a front or back arc. And essentially my ship ability says while you are disarmed, you may spend a shield to perform a turret attack. Now, so here's the idea. Everything, it has a turret, right? And what I kind of did is I said, well, I'm going to give it 5 health and 5 shields. And then I'm going to give it 2 agility and 3 attack dice, so it's pretty heavy hitting. We know that ship lasts in the show like quite a bit. That ship does not like to die. It probably needs to be knocked down a little bit, maybe just the 1 agility, but we'll see because I tried to give it a little bit lower health for it. And then basically the reason you can get the disarm token is because I put the slam action, because if you watch what that ship does in the show, it's insane. Like, I don't understand. Like, that ship just does some crazy things that we've never heard of or seen before. So I thought it would be fun to give that ship a slam action, which would normally give you a disarm token, and then you may use that disarm token and get rid of a shield, essentially as a damage to yourself, and be able to still shoot.
I like it.
I gave it a focus, an evade. I don't know why I gave it an evade, but I gave it an evade. I guess it gets an evade now. And then also a target lock action. And the only thing I did is I did give it a link to red focus action for the slam. Essentially, you can do your slam action, shoot, and have a focus token. So it's a very maneuverable medium base style ship. The 2 specific pilots I gave it was an initiative for Sabine. I gave her a force because fuck JJ is basically why. Because JJ claimed she didn't have force on our Universe Extended show for, I don't know, every episode. And guess who has force? Spoiler alert.
Yeah, you say that, and then you say spoiler alert.
Yeah, sorry, whatever. It's been a month since the show ended.
Yeah, true.
I did not make it reoccurring, though the icon doesn't show up even if you do. And basically, the way hers is going to be a similar to Kyo type thing. After you perform a red maneuver, you can regenerate 1 force. You may also spend 1 force to reduce the difficulty of a maneuver. So it is not reoccurring. You cannot get it back unless you perform a red maneuver.
Point cost, what do you think like you would run this? Oh, and actually the bigger question is, do you think of this as a medium base or a large base?
I think in the show, if we watch it, it's really a large base. I would rather see this as a medium base ship, but I think it might have to be a large base based on the scale of the ship that we have. But to me, I would put it in a medium base. I would rather not give a bunch more large bases. I'd rather see a couple of medium bases.
Okay. And then my other question is, do you see the ship as being Republic only or Rebel only or both?
I don't see this being Republic at all. This doesn't fit in the faction, in any faction really, right? Like that's the sad thing about this is there isn't a faction this is between rebels and resistance. So I put it in rebels, but to be perfectly honest with you, I would love to put it just in Scum, because AMG never gives Scum any love. But I thought that would be a little too spicy of a take for anybody. So, um, yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
So Ahsoka has the 3 reoccurring force. Hers is the same ability. You just spend the 2 force to give an action to another ship at range 1 to 3. I was not going to be creative, but I did give her an initiative 6 because I believe at this point in her life she's an initiative 6 Jedi.
Okay.
And I don't know. Do you want me to go over the crew? I guess I can go over the crew.
Yeah,
The
go
crew
with
is
the crew.
pretty easy. Is just Professor. Professor H is what I call him. After you perform a coordinate action, you can recover 1 force, then recite an old lore aloud in a dull voice.
That's great.
And it can be a crew that can be used on a medium and large base only, and it grants you the a white coordinate action, and that's it. So
That's fair.
if we're gonna look at cost, I would bring as a medium base. I would bring Sabine and you're almost gonna have to bring them in at 7 points. I think really you're gonna have to bring them each in at 7 points. You
Yeah.
might be able to get away with a 6-point Sabine, but I think the Ahsoka ship has to be
7,
a 7
yeah.
point, no question.
Yeah, Ahsoka without doubt has to be a 7. Sabina can actually make an argument for her being 6. I think that she has low enough initiative and her ability is pretty tame for her to be considered 6, right? Of course, it's going to come down to loadout value and for like whatever slots she can equip. But yeah, definitely I can see her being like a 6. So
Yeah, and the shitty thing is I want to give them crew, like the crew slot at least, because like that's the whole point of bringing Professor Young. And the idea would be is we've only seen 3 of them fly the ship. Doesn't mean there won't be later instances of other people flying it, but really those are the only people we've seen fly that ship.
yeah,
I'm
exactly.
sure Oddball has flown this ship at some point. He
There
flies
you go.
every
You
ship.
never know. He might.
Yeah.
You could make a case to put them in Republic, JJ, but I think you can't put Sabine in Republic. You could only put Ahsoka in Republic, and I think you would have to lower her initiative.
I would actually argue to add in Yoda as part of that too, because he was in that episode where they're training the younglings, and Hu Young was there. So I would argue for Yoda pilot as well. But yeah,
So I didn't go that far. I don't.
yeah. All right, so let's take a look at the ones that I made here. So I made this with the intention of this being a large spaceship, and although I have rear arc only as their primary, I actually wanted it to be a reverse full like rear arc, kind of like the YV666. Instead of having a full front arc, it'll be a full rear arc on this. Now, the reason for that is that in the show, we really only ever see the cannon shoot out the back, and any type of offensive or defensive weaponry always comes out the rear, right? So you never really see anything shooting out front of the ship there. So I decided to go with that, and I wanted to make it thematic on that there for you. So, so for the chassis ability, I gave it an old upgrade from 1.0, which is anti-pursuit lasers, and it reads: after an enemy ship partially executes a maneuver with your ship, you may spend a charge, which there's only 2 non-recurring charges on the ship, to roll an attack die, and that ship suffers any hit or crit results from overlapping your ships there. So this gives it a definite roll of getting into the center of the board and trying to disrupt your enemy ships by getting that free damage there and hopefully punching through. The downside of it is that you're likely not going to have, unless you have ordnance, you're likely not going to have a front arc shot on your opponent there. I mean, with Ahsoka, you can probably get foresight and you can get like a bullseye shot somehow through there, and that like would add that particular arc, but that's about it there. So for Ahsoka, I still kept our initiative 5. Mainly because in the show, don't really see her do anything spectacular in the ship that would warrant her to be an I6 pilot. And I gave her the I gave her the title Anakin's Apprentice. And then I wrote, after you fully execute a maneuver, you may choose a friendly ship at range 0 to 2 and spend 2 force, and that ship can perform an action while stressed. Very similar to her A-Wing version of it, but I extended it to range 0, so that way she could do it for herself as well. And then Sabine, gave her an I3, mainly because she crashed the damn ship into 2 TIE fighters. And her ability reads, after you partially execute a maneuver or an enemy ship partially executes a maneuver, you may suffer damage to perform an attack against that enemy ship at range 0 in your firing arc. So this gives her a way to take that free shot against somebody as a bonus attack at the cost of her taking damage, and kind of going with the theme for a Sabine in the show, where she kind of is impulsive and she, tries to do things on her own without much regard to her own personal safety and everybody else's. And she just went with that. And then I have a Republic pilot, I4 Huyang. His ability reads, while you perform a white coordinate action, if that ship has the force, you may coordinate an additional ship. Kind of very similar to what my goodness, what's her name? Shakti does for clones for Siege of Coruscant. I wanted one to do just for Jedi, and kind of work that way. So yeah.
Okay. I made one.
All right. What you got, Ben?
Okay, so apparently this thing has rear guns, right?
Yeah,
Or something to that effect.
a rear turret technically, but it does look like it could range like 180 degrees in the rear.
Okay, so I'm thinking I like the back half. I think I would do 2, because from everything I've been reading, this thing just doesn't have guns.
Yeah.
2 agility's fine. I'm thinking like 6 hull, 3 shields. And the ship ability would be after you... I'm going to give it a boost. Medium base. Why not? After you boost, you can perform another boost. That way you can actually line up the back half of the ship.
Ah, that's good. Okay.
And apparently it's really fast, right? So that would make sense too if you could just boost into boost.
That's actually good. Yeah.
I don't know anything else. But I think that'd be an interesting ship ability.
Because it'll be like ailerons, right, for the Reapers, right? Because you can form a boost, and it's not a boost action, and then do like afterburners if you wanted to.
Right. But I want this to be like, when you do a boost, do another boost.
Is it a
You
must?
can still fail. I don't know, man. I literally just made this up, so... I think a must might be a little bit too hard.
Gotcha.
Of a restriction. It could be charge based, maybe give it like 3 or 4 charges. But I think that'd be interesting to have a ship, because if you're gonna have a rear arc ship, you have to have it like zigzag through things in order to actually pull it off. So
yeah, it makes sense.
Maybe even just the back half, like without the back, not like the back half, but like the back arc. Give it a little bit of skill curve, and then you can make it like, not cost a lot of points because it's hard to hit, and it's only 2 dice. But a lot of rebel crew.
Yeah, it makes sense.
That'd be fun.
Well, there you have it, folks. Our way too early predictions for a ship we'll never see an X-wing unless AMG's nice to us. And I don't foresee that happening. But you never know, guys. You never know. All right. So why don't we do faction rankings? Originally, remember we had done some faction rankings back in May? Was it May? Is that when we did them? And we did our faction rankings. And so I want to have a quick discussion. I don't know. Did you guys look at any of the notes at all? If not, don't look at them now.
I did not, but I threw my faction ranking in the doc. So even if I change it, it'll still be there.
Okay. But essentially what I wanted to do is kind of say, hey, this is what we did before, this is where we're at now. And then we could kind of look at a little bit of the statistics for it. And I think like in my world, right, a faction ranking doesn't just have to be win ratio, right? It still has to be like, do you like to play this faction, right? Like if you don't like to play it, it's inconsequential, right? It's just not worth it. But I felt the need that we could go and spend a few minutes doing this. We don't have to spend a ton of time on this, but I thought it would be kind of fun to do that for it.
Yeah.
So this is the current faction ranking. I guess you could see mine. But this is the current faction ranking that we went through last May. So Alex brought in the Resistance. That was his top one. And then we had the First Order, Rebel, Republic, CIS, Empire close to the bottom.
Hey, this was before the bombers came out, okay?
And then Scum. JJ put Republic as his top faction, then Empire, CIS, Rebels, First Order, Resistance, and then Scum. I had Rebels on top, First Order, CIS is third, Resistance is fourth, Republic fifth, Empire as well at the bottom, and Scum rounding out the faction.
Again, this was before the bombers were a thing, so
Yeah.
give us a pass on those empires.
Yes. So I'll go through mine, and then what we could do is we could do each of yours. We'll do Alex next, and then we'll do JJ to kind of wrap up that piece of it. But what I wanted to do is, like I said, you do not have to rank them just solely based on I love this faction or solely based on this faction is the best faction ever, right? Like when I did my rankings, I did them based on, their performance as well as whether they are super fun to fly or not. So I put in the top Rebels first. It feels like we have nothing but Han. I would tell you I would lower it lower, except for the pure fact that now we're seeing other Rebel lists that are kind of winning it all. So it's not that Rebel is the best faction. I think Rebel is the easiest to win faction and decently easy to fly comparatively right now. I did put Empire second. I had to change my tune on Empire, mainly because of the bombers and because we're seeing some rack viability that we had not seen before. And I feel Empire had a little bit of a shift in some of what they were flying, and I'm happy to report we don't see a lot of the boys all the time. That was not the most fun thing to fly against. And I'm happy we don't see a lot of Ubel anymore. It would be nice if we saw a different one of those ships come back, but it is what it is. I did put Resistance over, I did put First Order over Resistance, not because I think First Order is better than Resistance, but because I personally like to fly First Order better than Resistance. But I'll be honest with you, my Resistance and First Order rankings are very similar-ish, right? I think they both have a limited number of ships, but they have amazing pilots, and they have the ability to have more loadouts on the different style of ships, the variety of them. I just prefer First Order over Resistance, though. I won't lie and say that I'm tempted to just start flying Resistance instead, especially given that Alex's Lando
It's so fun.
was fun, and like it might help me feel a little bit better about where my CIS is lying. Republic is fifth, and I only say that because nobody has really broken the code, in my opinion, outside of the Padme list, right? I think there's other lists out there. I think there's other lists that have viability. We kind of went over that there's 3 core lists that you could see in Republic, but I'll be honest with you, they're not as much my playstyle. So I'm having a harder time moving Republic up over either of the other factions. Then I will be sad to say CIS has fallen to 6th for me. The best CIS list right now is the 3-ship Zam Django Dirge list. And that is not, I don't know. I probably should like flying it, but I just don't. I don't know. It's not my cup of tea, I guess. And then, unfortunately, Scum is in the bottom tier again. I wish I could say Scum. I like Scum more because I do like Scum, but I just don't feel that I just don't feel at this time they rank up there. So, Alex, you're up.
Yes, so I went with what I believe has the most like options available for really good lists and that should be able to perform really well. So I am still standing by Resistance being the top faction.
Okay.
The second one I have is Rebel, and that's mostly because look at how they performed, and they do have a lot of options. You're seeing like Heratani pop up now. People are doing a couple, but they just have really good pieces. Then I would put Republic because there's a ton of options in there. Once people realize that like Bad Made Triple Arc is like an okay list and not like incredible, there's so much more in there that people are gonna find. I will put Empire. They're at fourth. I do love Rack. It is really fun. Those bombers were just a huge shot in the arm for that whole faction. And bomber, the bomber expansion, Deathfire, is so fun and so silly. Then I put FO. They are underperforming for me. They have options. No one's running Silencer Kylo except for Cody, though, and that's a mistake. I'm not a big fan of the FO salad lists. They're okay. But I don't know. I don't believe in quick draw either. So you can just shoot it, right? And then it dies. It's not hard. For sixth, I will put Scum. I don't think they're the worst faction anymore. I think there's bits and pieces there. Unlike CIS, where I don't see bits and pieces. You just got a couple fire sprays. And even then, I'm still not entirely convinced that's like a great list. But in terms of like variety and viability, the rogues are cool. I don't roll well enough for funny reroll, man. So that's about it. I think that's a solid ranking. That's what I'm gonna stick to for a bit.
All right, JJ.
All right. So for me, I think the top faction right now is got to be Rebels. I mean, you got so many different options in the Rebels with all these different T65s, with Han, of course, being the meta monster right now. You just have so much utility and viability in the Rebel Alliance, even more so, I think, than the Empire right now. They can perform very well offensively, defensively. They can melt faster than other ships there, but if you want more consistent offense with tokens and stuff, I think Rebels right now are the cream of the crop right now. Follow behind it, it's tough for me. I really want to put Empire at second place, but I think Republic comes in at second for me, and the reason for that being is that while yes, the Padme arcs, they certainly have their time in the sun right now. There's just so much more to the Republic right now than people are realizing. You can definitely fit those Siege of Coruscant arcs into so many lists because they're so cheap. They're so efficient for what they can do, and you can mix and match with a bunch of high initiative aces. You could put in a bunch of lower like cost ships that are the same initiative at initiative 4 between all the different chassis. You can do so much with that faction, and it's good. It's viable. Coming up at third, it is going to be the Empire. The Empire is doing very well. We've seen from a lot of the tournaments, you got a lot of Vader plus other things or Decimators that can do very well. The TIE Bombers definitely gave a breath of fresh air into the Empire for adding more cheap options for the Empire to help diversify the list. Still not as diverse as the Rebel Alliance, and they are very susceptible to crits, but they can certainly put out a ton of damage, and they're very good. Coming in at fourth here, I think this is where the spread starts to go out a little bit more. I right underneath the Empire, I would put the Resistance faction on there. We're definitely seeing the resurgence of the T-70s. They're doing very well right now for the Republic. Sorry, for the Resistance rather, and of course Poe Falcon is very good. Lando Falcon is very good. Chewie is still very good. Those Y wings coming down to 3 points also offer a lot of great options. BB-8 being the 2-point filler is very good for what he can do. There's a lot of solid options in the Resistance. Definitely see them at number 4. Now, this is a little bit bigger of a gap. The First Order coming in at number 5. Reason I put them there and I hold them lower is that while they do certainly have a lot of great options, um, they don't gel as well. I feel like it's a lot of more individual ships that you can put together, and it's not something that's so wholly synergistic that can really help each other out right there. The only exception to that would be like the tie whispers that can help jam and set up shots for everybody else. But other than that, you can easily separate pieces and they kind of lose their momentum as they go. The C class shuttle can help them a little bit with that, but you're not seeing much of the Z class shuttle right now, as they're favoring a lot more offensive options. But beyond that, not seeing much first order doing terribly well in a lot of the bigger events. But yeah, and that's why I keep them at 5. Now, number 6 is very close. I am going to put Scum at number 6, mainly because I think Scum right now has a lot more viable options than CIS. Not by much, but Fenrir coming down to 6 is a big thing. You got a lot of great large spaceships on the Scum side that you can go in there, make them tanky. Manaru is criminally undervalued for Scum players. Manaru is just such a great ship. Afra is such a great ship. Denkar can certainly put in damage at I6. The Lando Falcon, although it's not as effective as the other ships, does have the ability to be good for what it can do. The Gauntlet, I mean, there's a lot of ships in Scum that can do very, very well and can have a lot of use. Coming in last, CIS. It's sad for me to say that CIS comes in last for me because I have such high hopes for CIS. But right now, the only thing that's really viable right now are going to be the fire sprays and the Royal class starfighters and some of the tri fighters. Nantex still haven't found their rhythm. Vultures are good, but they're super squishy. Bombers still haven't found their rhythm. And compared to what every other faction can do, it just feels like CAS is coming short. Sure, they have their good matchups for certain scenarios, but I feel like you have to specialize your list a lot more for that versus then having a very good, well-rounded list that can do well on all or the majority of the scenarios.
All right. So now we look at what does the statistics tell us. So the statistics tell us a little bit of stuff, right? So the first issue that we run into is we have a bunch of unknown, right? So if you look at total lists in a tournament, there is roughly 673 that are missing, right? So that's the 15% of lists are missing. Tournament wins, or whatever you want to call them, faction wins, it is technically 17.65%. So we could wait some of this and it could affect some of the outcomes. I did not do that right now, but we could technically do that. So if we look at faction distribution, what's the most played faction? Rebels has the highest played faction, followed by Empire, then Republic, Resistance, FO, Scum, and then CIS is in last place. But if you look at performance-wise, and you look at where do things fall on that performance guideline, right? Resistance is hands down has a higher faction performance overall, followed by Rebel, then Republic, then FO, then Empire, CIS, and Scum. So while you both put CIS at the bottom, CIS is still outperforming Scum, both in their performance value and in their faction victories, baby. So put a sock in it there. You both should switch both of that background.
Let's see the numbers from the past 2 months or 3 months instead of overall.
No, you can't, because that's what we're ranking this on. That's what your faction rankings above are. Like if you were only looking at the last 2 months, that would be something completely different. Points haven't changed. It's just based on what it is. So while Rebel has the highest faction victories, they are not outperforming Resistance at all. Now, we could make an argument, right, that if more people took resistance, would that number go down, right? Like that's always the biggest question that we have. We know it will vary it a little bit, right? Like we know that. But and this is kind of what a point of discussion I wanted to have, because I think Alex has originally been the champion of resistance is the best faction. What the hell is wrong with all of you? Though the only store champ win he has is with Scum, weirdly enough.
Because I never played Resistance.
You did play Resistance.
I did.
And you did. So I don't want to hear that. I know you did because I had to play. Oh, I did actually have to play against you. But anyway, so like, do we feel if more people played Resistance that Rebel would then just be top of the dog for everything? Is the only people playing Resistance really good players? Or is it just a whole different ideology behind here? Alex, what do you think?
I think the more people play Resistance, it'll go down. Just because there's a whole bunch of people that are like, I'm gonna fly 5 T70s, actual T70s, and it's a fine list, but I don't think the layman kind of person is not gonna like take that to a win. You actually have to do well with it and be good. So I think the more times anyone plays a faction, all the stats go down, just because people, you take the average person, they're average at the game, so they're not winning. So yeah, I don't think Rebels would like be top dog. I still think Resistance is better, and I still think if you're an average player, you'll do better with 5 T70s than a Han list. But that's mostly because people are playing a lot of Han, so they're getting better at knowing what it does.
Yeah, so Rebel is taken by 52% more people than Resistance is. So that's the question, is if we added 52% more people or even it out, let's say, right? So we even out that percentage and give half to Rebel and half to Resistance, you still think that Resistance will have a higher faction percentage? Because technically that means they would have the highest win rate too. Because if I increase the people in that faction, I have to increase that win rate to keep that faction performance high. Otherwise, that faction performance tanks.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would do better than Rebels. I don't think it, like, if you have a huge glut of people, I mean, the stats will go down, so I don't think they'll have a higher win rate than everyone. But I'd still think they would do better than Rebel.
All right. JJ, what's your thoughts?
Well, I think the other part of it too is availability, right? Because we're looking at this at a global scale. And when you start factoring in certain countries that had not as many or access to the same ships that we do have here at the States, you'll start finding, especially when you look like at London, that's very resistance and first order heavy, versus like if you go down to like South America and some of those championships over there, they're a lot more original trilogy oriented. So it really just depends on where people have access to ships, right? So that does factor some of that. Then when you start going from there, you start taking a look at what's been doing well at some of the like major events. You start seeing a spike in popularity for the factions that make it up to the top, and we've seen Rebels certainly do very well. We saw the decline in Resistance, or sorry, in Republic until Paul Heber won his event with the Padme arcs, and then all of a sudden the numbers for players winning with the Republic started showing up because more and more people started taking it there. So it's a little bit of everything, right? I do believe that the numbers do reflect well across the board over time with a larger sample size. That Rebels just has a lot more options for ships that can do very well. And you take a look at the different lists that have made top cut. I mean, Heritani list, Han list +4 or Han list +3, or lists that don't even include Luke. They've made it up to the top there, and that just shows you
that's very few. Very few.
It's very few, but it still exists, right?
It was specifically like one tournament.
Yeah, exactly. But the point is that it still exists, right? There's still that possibility for those ships to do well, right? I mean, you don't see anybody coming in and winning a world championship with like pure like TIE interceptors, right? Or with like all Y wings for resistance, right? You see some of the same lists for those other factions. So a lot of it does have to do with availability of ships for those particular factions, but I think the stats are pretty on point.
All right. Anything else? Otherwise, I think we could kind of move on from this. I think this is a fun exercise. I'm disappointed that you guys put Scum over CIS. But
I didn't want to, man.
no,
I
you
really
did,
didn't
you
want
did.
to.
Yeah, you did. It's just to spite me. You're what he's trying to do is inspire me to go win a store champ with CIS. That way
Do it.
I can shut the fuck up about it. At this point, I'm
with Scum.
yeah, I don't even know when the next one I'll be able to play in is. So, all right. Well, there's kind of our faction ranking for everything. We will post a link to where we store it if you care. I don't know if it matters or not. If you care, we'll post the list. Yeah, we'll post a list with both of them and all the statistics for it. So why don't we go ahead and let's move on to our Academy 101 segment, where we decided, because Alex is right about one thing but not everything. He is not correct that CIS is the worst faction, but he is correct that Resistance has continued to perform very highly, and we should definitely be prepared for it. So let's get into our Academy 101 segment, reviewing Resistance meta lists. All right, welcome back to our Academy 101. We are going to review Resistance tonight for our meta analysis. Our goal is to kind of review what does the list do, what are some of the more popular lists, and do we have, anything we should be on the lookout for. Then we also cover how do you play the list, what obstacles to bring, and sometimes we talk a little bit about objective placement. Now, Alex built some lists, and I fucked around with his stuff a little bit. I left most of your stuff intact, but what I wanted to do, instead of having like two separate lists, essentially right here we have, and here I'll shrink the screen a little bit. Essentially right here, what we have is what we would call the 5 T70 list, or 4 T70s and one other option. So instead of going through and regurgitating 80% of the same type of list, what I thought we would do is say, here's what the staples are, and these are the specific staples, and then here's your variability piece, right? Like, if you like to run Zori every time, like Sam does, then that's what you would be specifically going after and saying, hey, this is the ship I love the most, blah, 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 blah. So what I want to do, and I'm going to turn it over to Alex in a second, but Alex will cover the staple list first, or staple pilots first, and then we'll start covering some of the variable pilots that could kind of fit in there. Because again, at 4 points, you get 5 pilots, right? Like, you get 5 of them. So that is a thing that can, be done. So why don't we get into it? Alex, what is the first list that we want to analyze tonight?
Okay, so you want to hear something crazy? Resistance has 25 pilots that cost 4 points, not including generics.
Wow.
That's a lot for a faction that's not like huge, right? So you got so many pieces you can flip in and out. So in this one, we're just going with like a 4 T70 plus Zori. So LO, typically it's either like a M9G8 Predator kind of thing, or like a marksmanship heroic HLC. You are seeing swarm tactics pop up more, just generally to get Jess Pava up. Zori pretty much has one loadout, dorsal R4 Plasma Torps Wartime. There is one guy who did well with a Mag Pulse Plasma Torp, but that blue is hard. I mean, like, the 3 straights blue, which is cool, but you're going straight.
Yeah.
Snap Waxley, Temin Waxley, the one that doesn't flippy flop his wings for calculates. The one that gets boosts, you generally see like an HLC R6D8. If you don't have R68 on Snap, then is usually on LO, and that gets a little bit murky what you bring with Snap. You will occasionally see Venetia Doza. Barrage Rocket's marksmanship seems to be the general trend for her. Shooting barrage rockets out the back, super cool. You're pretending you're an A-wing now, except for you're not as good as specifically one of them. And then just Pava. You'll see like R2D2 jamming beam, or like I know Stanny brought Ferrosphere BB-8, so did like Tommy Adams. You'll see occasionally Bucket and Baffle, something like that. So basically, most of these upgrades, they kind of flow in and out of each other for the X-Wings. It's kind of whatever you want to bring. Like Veniza's pretty set in stone. Zori's pretty set in stone. Jespava typically has droids with charges, but we'll occasionally just see M9G8. And then you have a whole host of other fours you put in there. You can put in Lulo, you could put in Kari Kun, you could put in Kaz. You are seeing like a lot of FTC target computer notorious Kaz. That's what Sandy brought to Nova. Kari Kun, you'll see it with afterburners because that's awesome to like Talon roll one hard barrel roll. You'll see Lulo. Typically, it'll be like shield upgrade Predator marksmanship or shield upgrade Ferrosphere and something else. You don't really see Finn too much anymore, but he is 4 points.
Yeah.
You can also swap out another pilot if you really want, like Kai Threnali, if you're trying to go for like a really strong initiative 4 thing. And that's typically just like HLC heroic. And then there's Nimi, who gets actually a fair amount of play. I'm a little bit weary of I2 right now, but you'll see her. She's fun.
Yeah. So this list, like I said, this list is specifically what we are not super worried about originally, and I think the idea behind it is not that we should not worry now, but that I feel that this list is insanely versatile. This style of list in Resistance is versatile. And while I like Poe and I love Rey, and I think Poe and Rey are monsters as well, I think inside of these 4 5-point ships are some of the easiest ships to do or to play in the game, because what it's giving you is pretty decent abilities, not super a million triggers unless you're flying Poe. Poe gives you a million triggers, but if you don't fly Poe, you don't get a million triggers, and so it's something you could pick up. So for anybody else out there, it's just like, hey, how hard is it to get T70s, right? How hard is it to get one Y-wing? If you want a fireball, you are outside of the T70s, you are not required to own more than 2 ships in any of in this faction, right, per ship. And I think that's really important here, because it gives people the ability to play what their strengths are, right? So if my strength is just mass murdering things and block formation flying, I can run a set style of list. If I want to spread out and I want to have a bunch of different options, this list gives me that. I personally would prefer Lulo in one of the roles here, but that's just me. Like, I like to fly A-wings. I want to have some sort of a weird pocket ace. Lulo's an I-5. Lulo could take a shield upgrade, and Lulo can arc dodge. Like, that's what Lulo likes to do. And the best part about Lulo is you could get your 3 dice out the back or the front. You just got to take, you just got to be stressed. And A-wings are not super predictable. So you can either focus fire on Lulo and the rest of my list is going to kill you, or you can leave Lulo alone and kind of just joust her one-on-one, that type of a thing. I also think that these ships give high variability to objective play, right? I think we have objective play here that we don't always get in every other faction. Most of these ships are not going to be one-shotted, except for Lulo. Most ships do not get one-shotted in this faction. And the nice thing is we're not seeing Finn anymore. So I will just like say that that immediately makes me like Resistance more, is because I was sick of seeing Finn everywhere on the table all the time. But you could take Finn at 4 points if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Alex, I'm sorry. Go ahead, JJ.
So yeah, I mean the other part of it too, right, is that this archetype is very, very flexible in their loadouts, right? We have, for instance, the list that Ryan Staniszewski ran in Nova, which had um, it had Kaz Cioto as the oddball there, along with Ludo, and having that option of having that Fair Sphere paint, it did very, very well. It definitely did well against lists that like to lock with ordnance and giving them stress, offered a lot of control there. But you can also go a lot more offensive minded with 4T70s that can equip cannons like HLC, for instance, and that gives you a lot of agency to get stuff in bullseye, and you're rewarded for that, especially if you're able to get that at range 2 or 3. Being able to shoot that 4 die gun out of a T70 just makes them really, really good attackers, especially against like medium and large bases, which can be very susceptible to that kind of repeated attack there. Or you can make them a lot more boostier, right? You can just have that utility with the Astromechs, providing rerolls for like M98 or 68, or just being able to use her ability as long as she's along with other ships, with ship like Astromechs with BB-8 or R2D2, just giving her charges for rerolls. There's just so much utility, so many different ways that you could play those T70s that they can do very well across a lot of different scenarios for the Resistance.
All right. So what do y'all think is good? I again, because this kind of feels like the quintessential salad list right here. Resistance seems to have that quintessential salad play. But if we're talking objectives or obstacles, what is your preferred obstacles of choice to take? And do you take certain obstacles with certain types of ships, or are we just taking a general smattering of obstacles?
I think if you're bringing like a lot of HLCs or something, you bring bigger obstacles, try to create lanes, uh, and like not really have escape routes, so you can easily bullseye things. But other than that, there's not really much like obstacle choices. It's kind of just whatever your preference is. But if you have a lot of bullseye things, larger obstacles kind of limit where your opponent typically goes. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that it largely depends on what ships you're bringing with you, right? Because if you're opting for more maneuverable builds with like including Lulo or Kaz, for instance, you can certainly take those larger obstacles as they're able to get around them faster, right? Kaz with the slam or Lulo with the boost. But if you're looking to have more of an attacking block, probably the larger obstacles, so you can help rein in ships that can go through it and set up either like your HLC or have multiple arcs set on your target there. If your objective is to play just purely like ships, and not really the objective itself. Yeah.
All right. So, and I would agree. If I'm running Resistance, I tend to like the big obstacles too with these smaller ships, because that's just me. I don't know. Maybe it's I play too much CIS, but I like big obstacles myself. How about objectives or objective play? What are the ones they excel at, JJ? What are the ones you feel that they're could do better on?
Again, largely based on what they're carrying, but honestly, this can do pretty good in across the board for most of these scenarios. They're in chance engagement. If you lose half of your health, you're only giving up 2 points per ship for this list here, which is really good. And meanwhile, you can really gun down one of the higher costed ships with all these ships concentrating fire on it. For salvage, you're going to have certain T70s that don't really need to boost. They are just, move in place and take a focus. So you have those options for those scenario carriers there. And for scramble, they probably suffer a little bit there because they don't have an i6 that could really take advantage of that. And you can always adjust it to include like the T70 Po if you wanted to, and then just get one of the cheaper ships as your filler there. But that kind of breaks the list. If you're able to get a block in there to prevent your opponent from grabbing that scenario, which with 5 ships that is possible, you can do pretty decently in scramble. So it does very well across the board for all the scenarios. I wouldn't go as far as say is that they dominate any one particular scenario, but I think it's that one that can really adjust to all the scenarios.
I will say they dominate in one scenario. I think they dominate in chance because there's no target priority, right? It's just whatever is the closest ship, right? Because they're all 4 points. They're all kind of annoying to deal with. They all have the bulk and they all kind of can hit you really hard. And they have just Pava, which is just a monster of a ship when just surrounded by other X-Wings. And then you have health them. Like they're 7 health, so they're above the even threshold. So you have to do 4 damage to them in order to half health them for 2 points. And Zori is 9 health with 5 shields. So you're not putting a lot of crits and stuff in. I think they're the best faction at chance in general. Like they're just a pain to go against.
That's fair.
I mean, like salvage. I mean, they're X-Wings. They can pick it up, right? Scramble. I mean, they have a couple I5s. Generally, the Resistance faction has their own passive mods, whether it be like M9G8, R6D8, just Pava's ability, so they can actually like afford to lose an action here or there and still be effective. And Assault. I mean, you have 5 ships. It's okay, but I think like Chance is just such a beast of a list. And like if you have like Kaz or Lulo, your objectives get better or worse depending on what you're bringing. So just adjust it to your kind of play style, but I think it'll always be good at chance.
So what takes this list down? What can you do against this type of a list?
I know what I did against this kind of list was just jousted with my Scum list, but I would not recommend that for any other list.
So bombs, to me, bombs feel like a good deter. This list does have a lot of immobility per se. It doesn't have insane crazy maneuvers outside of like Nimi and Elo. And Nimi doesn't fit in this type of list very easily. Because Nimi's 5. That's not Nimi. I'm sorry.
9
Nub. That's who I keep thinking of. So variability. Elo does have 3 white talons, which are pretty good. That's still a pretty good talon. But they're limited to just those 2 maneuvers. So this list doesn't have an insane mobility piece. So to me, bombs. You could trigger bombs. Seismics are really good against some of these lists. But again, it has a high health, right? So ionizing is a great one because most of these ships don't have more than 2 green dice. Unless you shoot them at range 3. And then they do. And then they don't want to die. And they don't have a million double mods, right? Like they do get some soft mods with the R6D8 and MG, whatever, the M9G8, and one has Predator. We'll give credit to Elo where Elo gets credit due, being in that I5 with Predator and being kind of a little bit of a bully she is. But they don't have like an insane amount of mod sharing in the same way that like Rebels has, right? You're not, and you don't have a shit ton of double tapping either, right? So it's not like you have an X-Wing that can come in and make double shots, unless you put Snapshot. And I don't think any of them... No, they could take Snapshot? Oh, could you imagine Wes Temin with Snapshot? All right.
I mean, it's 9 points. You can do it. Snap with snap.
You can snap with snap. That would
It's
be
not
hilarious,
good,
though.
but you can do it.
It's hilarious. It would be hilarious. Anyway, but they don't have a lot of the double tapping. So a lot of like what you can do with this list is if you can stop them from removing stress, it's really good. If you can stop them um, stop them by outmaneuvering them or having a higher initiative. Because that's the other thing this list kind of lacks a little bit is no I6s. So
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, like the big weakness of this is that they're kind of like a middle initiative, being mostly fours. So like actual aces or double repositioning actually can tear a lot of this list apart. Or some sort of like really overwhelming offense, because they do just have 2 agility, like you mentioned. But like honestly, like Falcons, like Han is decent against it. Like the rest of the list is getting murdered, but like Han's pretty good against them, mostly because of the I6 boost, double tap. So yeah, I mean, like aces, Deathfire. I mean, you mentioned bombs, but Deathfire specifically, because he's just tossing them, is really funny. And yeah, just ionization, like you all said, just ace play and overwhelming offense can usually take them. Like my scum list usually kills 1T70 a round. And when that happens, that's not good.
no, they do not want to lose one ship around. Even if it's in round 3, they still do not want to do that.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's
Yeah.
move on to the next list. The next list we have is called Ray Shenanigans, because she is here to say, I'm going to do stupid things to you because Finn never got banned in freaking Standard.
9 points. Okay, it's only good
I
on
don't
one
care.
ship.
It's only good on one ship, and it should be taken off that ship. Anyway, so this list we have Elo with M9G8 Predator, same thing that we had before. Temin with R6 D8 and HLC, same thing we had before. Neonub is a little bit different here. This one has Pattern Analyzer, BB8, HLC, and Marksmanship. And if you didn't know, Pattern Analyzer works. Then you get rid of your stress if you with Neonub's ability, and then you perform a second action because you're a bully. And if you want to be a real big bully and you're really good at getting a bullseye, you get to perform 3 actions in that list where you can get target lock, barrel roll, and focus if you really want. And still end up with only 1 stress.
No stress.
You get to get rid of the last stress too?
Yeah, you just dump them
all
all.
right, screw you.
It's
I
every
hate you.
single stress you
All
get.
right, I hate you so much. I hate that ship so much.
Except for Panic Pilot, because they want things to be slightly fair.
Yes.
All right. So if you can
That just
figure out how to
gives you one.
slip a Panic Pilot into Neonub,
Pilot,
that's what you
pilot.
got to do.
I don't know. Panic Pilot only you get rid of 1 stress, not both. So you're still not double stressed.
That's okay. At least it'll be stressful. Anyway, then you have Ray with his kind of the classic Ray build with engine upgrade, the title, Novice Tech, Rose, Finn, and Heroic. Because if you didn't know, after you blank out with Ray, you can add another blank and then Heroic the stupid things, because somehow that's legal. We don't know how, but somehow that is legal.
Oh, the more fun thing is when you roll blank focus and then you Rose Tico the focus away, add the blank with Finn, and then Heroic them both.
Yeah.
So you get more consistency.
Yeah.
And a lock.
If somebody said, hey, Resistance, do you want a Scum ship? And can we give you a good pointed Scum ship? Because we can't do that in Scum. But we're going to give it to Resistance. Anyway. So that's the list. Thoughts on the list strengths, weaknesses, that type of thing? What do y'all think?
9-nub occasionally you'll see with Daredevil as well, instead of like an HLC or a droid. Because you can still do the 1 hard boost off Pattern Analyzer and clear both stress. So it gives you a lot more options when you do like a 4K or a Talon roll. That being said, you don't get that off too much. It's a lot better against like I6s because you already know where they are and your 4K will fit right behind them. And man, engine upgrade on Ray. Everyone takes it. I don't get it. I've literally, I don't think I've ever boosted with Ray, unless it was after a sloop, and I don't care about the engine upgrade after a sloop. I have contraband.
Yeah.
But yeah, this
That's
list
the more
is
popular choice, though.
almost no one flies Ray with contraband other than me. I don't get it. I sloop multiple times with Ray, and I'd rather have a focus token than not have anything. But yeah, this list hits super hard. It is only 4 ships. So you actually have to be, good at the game or something for this. But this list hits so hard. Everyone's pushing for damage. Like, you don't even really need M9G8 too much in this list. You can actually just straight swap it with HLC on LO. And then now you have 4 ships that are essentially pushing 4 damage through. And it hits like a truck.
Yeah. Yeah, they call it Death Ray for a reason.
Yeah,
Just
I
being
love
able
Ray.
to punish really hard there. Now, I think this list definitely does very well in assault. You got that big base in Ray. But if you're able to get that cluster of objectives together in assaults, Ray can contest an objective, and if you do it right, you can have her front arc facing the opponents that she needs to. She can definitely tank a lot of shots with her ability, and then the T-70s can come in from the sides and force your opponent to either deal with Ray or let Ray just wreak havoc on your list, and then just go from there. Probably struggles a little bit with scramble. I mean, yeah, you got a lot of you got some I5s on there that can definitely assist with that, but because Ray has that large base, usually she is more offensive minded and usually is bumping a lot, especially when you get more into that post first engagement. So usually not going to be able to take that objective with her ability. So she suffers there, but you can kind of make up for it with like 10 or 9 sorry, not 10 with Elo and 9 since they're I5 and they can do that there. Um, I think this list suffers a lot in scramble. You don't really have a scramble carrier, or sorry, salvage. You don't have an objective grabber on this list there that really wants to do it. And if you're forced to, it's probably going to be Elo.
Hello.
I mean, sure, you could do it with Neen if you need to as well, but that really limits him with his ability, and you don't want to do that. But beyond that, you're trying to kill other people, which, yeah, you certainly have the offense to do that. But beyond that, you're really not going to be scoring a lot of points off of salvage. You're more trying to deny points with salvage there. And then in chance engagement, this definitely does really well. Ray can certainly deal a lot of damage to get those half points off of ships very easily, and she can maintain her points for a while. Just don't leave her out to dry, otherwise you're going to give up 7 points to your opponent.
Yeah, I feel like Ray will die, but generally you'll get a lot more than 7 points out of her. Or
Yeah.
enough damage that like your
You trade.
T-70s will kill a ship around.
Yeah.
I will say, like, Ray's not bad initially in like scramble, because she doesn't really need to take an action. So if you actually like lead with her, you can just take the scramble and then get the lock later and figure it out. You got 2 force, you got Rose. After that, though, it's a little bit more tough. Yeah. But
Yeah,
I mean, chance engagement against this list is comical.
yeah, especially because you have 2 ships that can do the majority of maneuvers on their dial. Like they have the ability to be like, I'm just gonna do whatever I want. So this list has very high initiative, right? 10 is your lowest initiative. I don't think scramble is the worst one. I would say that salvage is, but if you look traditionally with this style of list that is literally out there to murder you, you don't need to take 3 crates to win. You just got to murder things. And so if one ship takes a crate, that's a guaranteed point every round. Then you got 3 other ships to just murder something. I'm going to ask a weird question though, because I didn't think about this. Does Ray get neutered by Padme because with the whole Finn interaction? Does Padme kind of like also like say, you're not going to do what you normally do?
Well, Padme's focus results, if you take away a focus result, I believe that's modifying. So like,
Yes,
you
it
can't
is.
flip things, but you can just flip a blank to a hit.
Yeah.
Right. So, worst comes to worst, you just do that. I don't think Ray, I mean, Padme doesn't really I've flown against a Padme with Ray, and that didn't do anything. And then that Padme died because I have Ray facing Padme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I just didn't know because I was thinking about that and I was like, well, maybe Padme has a few more uses that we didn't see. But you're right. I mean, and that's where the contraband comes in more handy than an engine upgrade, right? Because here you have Rey being able to sloop, take a focus or a target lock or whatever Rey wants to do against Padme, and you're not even in arc and it's inconsequential. Padme cannot turn around that fast. And Padme's an I4 and not an I5, right? Like that's a downfall that we talked about last week of Padme is that initiative can be very hurtful to get her ability off.
And Ray can sloop multiple times in a row, so you're pretty much always going to have time on target.
Yeah. So obstacle wise, again, I don't think obstacles matter a whole lot with this one. I'm probably taking 2 debris clouds at least with this. And then the third obstacle is either going to be the larger like a larger rock, or it's going to be, if I want to be spicy, I'm going to take an gas cloud, just because if I could place the gas cloud correctly, the only person that does not want to swoop through a gas cloud really is Neonub. Like Neonub doesn't want to go through that gas cloud because it limits what Neonub can do, but like Ray doesn't care as much. Just don't land on it, don't land on it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you have the Corcella variant of Rake, you go all debris clouds on it because even Neen can clear the debris cloud stress if he ends up in with an enemy in front arc at range 1.
Yeah, I was gonna say medium debris clouds. You want at least some space for Ray to sloop. So you don't want like the really big ones from Mandalore. And then yeah, Nien could just plow through that debris, get the stress taken off anyways. It doesn't skip your action phase, right? So that's fun. Ray can go through it and then continue to boost as long as you didn't land on it. So that's also very useful. That's probably what I would bring. Also, because you're bad at salvage, they could take the crate off the debris and drop the crate. You never know. There's a chance.
That's true.
It might help you.
Fair enough. All right, let's move on to the last list, and I'm going to preface this by saying you could technically run Poe in a T-70 or in a Falcon. Just so you know, you can do that, and I think if you run it in the T-70, that Poe is at the 7 points is, if you play it right, is pretty unkillable. It's, I don't know, it's weird. It's weird that Poe's kind of unkillable, I don't know. I guess he's made it through how many wars, but still, folks, come on. JJ, what is on this Poe list that we have here?
So we'll start off at the top. We got the LO in the T-70 with Predator M9GH, then Temin Wexley with R6 D8 and HLC, then Neen Nub with Marksmanship, Pattern Analyzer, and BB8 and HLC, and then Poe Dameron in the Falcon with Notorious, Ray Gunner, Novus Tech, Contraband Cybernetics, and Engine Upgrade to round off the list there. This list definitely plays a lot different than Ray. This is a much less in your face type list for how the Falcon flies. This one wants to kite around the board and kind of get you from around the sides there. It is very accurate, especially with that Ray Gunner there that's able to change a blank result into a hit on offense. It can definitely do a lot of damage back, or at least set up a strain on you, so that way the rest of the list can deal damage into you there. There was actually a match that was done on Viper Squadrons, done by Crispy, just like the other day, where they were covering Team USA event there, where you got to see this in play. Essentially, you want to get those T-70s in your opponent's face to disrupt their whatever they want to do with actions, especially with Temin being able to boost in and set up blocks, and then Elo and Neen right behind it to engage at range 1, and Poe behind that screen just being able to shoot first, take off focus tokens or reduce the shields for those T70s to finish off that opponent's list. It can be very effective, very damaging, and when played right, your opponent is going to have some very bad shots into Poe, and if they do, they're going to get eaten alive by those T70s.
Yeah, I'm not super into like a notorious Poe with 3 other ships, especially because it's LO and 9-nub being at 5. The Notorious is really good. I mean, against other I6s and I5s, sure, but it's really good if you have something like Snap and BB-8 and lower initiative ships in there. So when you face off against like another T70 list with 4s, you still can shoot them with your 4s and 3s or 1, or if you're bringing Merle or something like that. Like I know this is like a straight swap of Ray with Poe. I'm just not a big fan of Poe plus 3 T70s. I think you might as well just bring Ray and just hit harder. But Poe offers a completely different style of play. I love Poe Falcon so much. He's disgusting. Just boost, barrel roll, boost. Just art dodging everything. And with Ray just being pretty consistent. And he's so good at scramble. Like Poe just do a free boost to get to where you are. You're also an I6, take the scramble. I like this list a lot for scramble. For chance, it's okay. You know, Poe doesn't hit as hard as Ray, but he doesn't need to if he's not getting shot. Salvage is still kind of rough because you definitely don't want to bring that on Poe. Can't do anything for his ability with that. And Assault's still solid because Poe is so fast. That Falcon is like, I mean, it's the fastest ship in the game, right? Like, you got that 4 straight, although it's red. And then he can boost right after it. With the title, it's basically inconsequential. So that ship goes so fast it can go to every assault point and take them all. Just being wherever you didn't expect it to be.
Yeah, and I think that's why people are running this type of a list, is because it's you have to really go all in on Poe. I mean, and you really got to catch him and get him. Like, you got to figure out how to get him and keep him there and then murder him. Otherwise, there's no point in shooting at Poe other than scaring him away. It's just not,
Yeah. Like, I brought him to World, and I think only Crispy managed to kill Poe. Well, maybe Isophane did, but Seer Swarm. That eventually will get to Poe. But like, he's either you have to ignore him completely, which sucks because he's hitting super hard, or just pin him in a corner somewhere, and that's very difficult to do. And also, if you bring a lot of like HLCs and stuff, the punish people going after Poe, that helps immensely.
Yeah. And I think that's the big thing. Obstacles, in this one, I think it means even less for obstacles, right? Because Poe can go through obstacles.
Oh, no, you bring the largest rocks you can because Poe doesn't care. That's the whole point.
Like, yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's just, doesn't matter with Poe because he doesn't care about obstacles. It's like, who is it like? Oh, it's like Dash a little bit, but less dice, but better, more accurate dice, like Ray. The problem is Ray at 10 points. In my opinion, Ray is the best force point in the game right now, like hands down. Ray is just,
well, yeah, I mean, just
amazing.
Convert a blank to a hit or a evade.
Yep. Ray hands down is just the best, literally the best force crew you could ever get. And it's 10 points, right? It's the same as Savage. Oh, Savage, you got to spend a force to give somebody a focus. No. Ray says, I'm just going to turn a blank to hit for Poe every time. Like, it's just, it's like a Vader ability. That is what that is. So, objective wise, I think you kind of covered it. Like, I don't think this does very well in chance. But at the same token, you have to let Poe run free if you want to score objective points and chance, right? Like, if you want half points, you got to leave Poe alone because you're not probably getting half points on Poe. And unless you can corner him,
Yeah, I mean, you only get 3 points if you have health po too. That's the real feels bad about it.
Yeah. I'll take my. I guess I'll take my 2 points for every other T70s and half point them. I don't know.
Yeah.
So that is the end to our Resistance Meta Academy 101 analysis of current lists. For the end of the show, we're going to jump into some store champs, some St Laurence Open, and kind of talk a little bit about that. Are you guys ready to do our pattern analyzer segment?
Let's do it.
All right. Welcome back to our pattern analyzer segment where we will be discussing some of the store champs that we have out there. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. We get to discuss some cool store champs and some boring store champs. How about that? Are we allowed to say that? All right. Let's begin with the I have no idea how to say that store name, but the Open in Germany that happened.
Leipzig. Yeah.
What'd you call it?
Leipzig.
All right, Leipzig.
Yeah.
What does it mean?
It's a city.
Oh, okay. So it says it's an open. They only did 4 rounds, so I have no idea if it's an open or a store champ. I have no idea. But we have some of the usual suspects showing up. They didn't have all the lists, so we're kind of just going to cover 2 of them. And one of them we're not going to really cover because it's just a common Rebel list. Essentially, you have the duple blocks of Han, Chopper, Sabine, and Fen Rao.
The DU and special. Okay.
And nothing super amazing about those lists. There was 6 2-1-1 through 4-0s. But the most interesting list that I found that I thought we would cover is this Gina Moonsong list with Cassian and Ezra Bridger. Alex, what is this list? What is this?
Well, it's definitely a list you could build in Rebels.
It looks fun though. Let's say I think this looks fun.
I don't think it looks terribly fun, but it's cool. It's got
synergy.
Gina.
Yeah.
It's got Gina with proton cannons, plasma torps, and FCS. You're seeing that Gina. If you see Gina, that's generally the loadout you see on her. It's got Tycho in the A-wing with HLC, cluster missiles, elusive, and marksmanship. You can no longer exploit composure, yeah. So no one's taking him anymore. But I guess you can just pass him the stress with Gina, right? Do whatever you want. The cluster missiles is interesting, but he can hit. He's still an I-5. You got Boudica with pretty much what you always see on her, Beskar, Optics, Predator. You have Cassie and Andor with just Kanan. He does only have 1 crew slot, which is a little bit frustrating, but he removes a lot of stress. And if you don't want to use that force for like an attack, you can remove more stress. And Ezra in the TIE Fighter with K2SO to also give people more stress and calculates.
It's like wannabe Death Troopers. Is that what this is? It's like we want you to be Death Troopers, but you're not.
I would love to play this list against my Scum list, and I'll remove all the stress for him. He doesn't have to do it. It's okay.
I don't know. I like it. It's kind of cool to see a little bit of different lists, and there's no Sabine and no Luke in that list. So, all right. The next one we have is from EH Gaming in the UK. We had a pretty similar, basically 3 silencer list. Like, that's kind of crazy. Usually you see 2, but I like this. It's the 3 silencers. Tom Veal took this one. With
Whispers, not silencers.
What did I say? Did I say silencers?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
With Whispers.
Got too much Cody on your mind.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I got the other day. I'm sorry. I'm going to tangent a little bit. The other day I got the big silencer. Like I didn't have one of the bigger ones before, so I haven't been able to put it on the table because I haven't played. I shouldn't tell people this. I haven't played in like almost 3 weeks now because helping my daughter and stuff like that. Like online, nothing. Just there's Tanner's not played X-Wing, so but I got one of those like cool big silencers. So like I'm excited to put that on the table at some point in my life when I get to actually put ships on the table again.
Cody, when he runs his triple silencers, the two big ones are Blackout and Rush, and Kylo's in the tiny one, and people get really confused
Because Kylo originally came in the big one.
because everyone's just like, Kylo's the big one. That's the whole point.
Oh, that's funny. I don't. All right, we're gonna move on because I don't want to get into why they changed the sizing of it. So we can say that for another cast.
Yeah.
So 3 whispers. We have Whirlwind with marksmanship, Proud Tradition, Cluster, Advanced Optics, Wrath with marksmanship, Predator, Ion, Pattern, and the title or whatever the title thing, and then Kylo with Malice, Brilliant Evasion, Predator, and Pattern Analyzer. This is my preferred Kylo. I like the Predator piece of it, just personally better. Like I'd rather
no
be
missiles.
Yep, no missiles. It's the I'm gonna be Kylo, and either I'm gonna be good at this, or you can have the game. It's yours. Like that's the kind of Kylo I like to fly. But anyway, and then you have Midnight with Proud Tradition and Swarm Tactics to get essentially it's running next to Whirlwind. And then Commander Malorus with Cluster Missiles instead of Magpulse, though I think in this list Magpulse is better. Personally, but
I don't know, the UK just does not run Magpulse on Malorus. I've always seen Malorus with cluster missiles.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
And I don't disagree. I do like Malorus with cluster missiles, but typically if I'm running an all 5 I5 I6 ship type list, I would prefer to have Magpulse because it just is more effective.
Yep.
But that's just my opinion. All right. We also have Kester coming in at number 2 with another FO list. Alex, what is this list? This is a little bit different than what we've seen before.
This is they were, I don't know, in a coma for the past couple months and only remember worlds. I don't know. No, it's Von Reg with Elusive Deuterium Magpulse, which is a solid loadout for Von Reg. It kind of sucks you don't have like Daredevil for like the one hard, but Magpulse and Deuterium are solid. You have Midnight with Fanatical Swarm Tactics. I'm not 100% sure who your Swarm Tactics up. Possibly Gaelic, because this list also has Gaelic with Marksmanship and Ion Cannon. It's got Malorus and Magpulse. You could also Swarm Tactics her up, depending on how you have it, but you also have Von Reg with Magpulse, so you might not need both. You got DT 7898 with Deuterium. That is the one person you do not Swarm Tactics up because he gets that strain. And then you got Scorch with Deuterium, which, that's a triple Deuterium list. You get some regen, you get Von Reg, I'm still not a fan of, but he's an I6 with Magpulse, and you get Midnight. I prefer Fanatical Midnight over Proud Tradition if I bring in Swarm Tactics, because unlike, I assume most people, I remember that Proud Tradition happens, and I don't want to have a red focus on my TIE Fighter.
Nope, because then you're stuck wherever you're at every time. No questions asked.
But Gaelic's interesting. I mean, you got an Ion Cannon. She's I5. Yeah, if you wanted to Swarm Tactics, you could Ion Cannon someone, try to ionize them, break off a lock. Seems like a solid list. It's just 5 TIE Fighters,
It is. I don't know if I own 5 FO TIE Fighters, actually. All right. Off to the Dark Side Open in Florida. Unfortunately, we are not going to cover Crispy's Pac-Man list until they fix CIS points. But Crispy did run a Pac-Man list that was pretty hilarious. Congratulations to FaZe winning that one at 4-0. And we had Andrew Lippins, Crispy's sister, I don't know who Nathan Hush is off the top of my head. And then Ned John, which is Crispy's dad. So it's like a Crispy family get together here where they make up almost half the field and get together and hang out and play X-Wing.
Yeah. Hush is Phase's brother, but yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh my God. It's like never mind. We're gonna stop
Yeah.
there because I've got some jokes I probably shouldn't make on the cast. So, JJ, what Empire list took everybody down this time?
So we got a Morna Key showing here, coming up with Ruthless, Death Troopers, Fifth Brother, the Concussion Bombs, the Lay Fuses, and Dauntless title, Boy Vader, that comes equipped naturally with Marksmanship, Hate, and Afterburners, Countdown making an appearance of Lone Wolf and Shield Upgrade, and then the standard loadout Tomex Bren with True Grit, Plasma Torps, and Ion Bombs to round off that list. Definitely got a lot going on here with Morna Key and Vader and Tomex. These are going to be those punchy pieces that go in there, denying actions with Death Troopers, and just being a general nuisance. I do like the inclusion of concussion bombs there, mainly because Morniki can pretty much take the strain if she needs to, take that bomb to her, but your opponents probably don't want to take a strain, and they'll probably take the strain just to make sure they don't get that crit from the concussion bomb on there. Countdown, definitely an excellent objective grabber. Just being able to negate the attack that comes in and just suffer 1 damage if he's not stressed. You put them in as a flanker, and if they don't concentrate 2 or 3 ships to take down Countdown, Countdown's just gonna tank all those shots. Really, really great there. Like the list a lot.
I wonder why you took Morna Key over Rack. That's my only question.
My main guess is Morniki's ability to potentially set
double
herself with
reinforce?
double reinforce. Yeah,
So like Rack is Rack.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Like if you wanted to keep the concussion bombs, you can still do Rack. Like it's just Ruthless, Death Trooper, Seventh Sister concussion bombs, delayed fuses, Dauntless, and Agile.
Yeah.
So
I mean that, and you want to make sure you move first. Also with Morna, if you're trying to set yourself up for a block, and to make sure that you can get off Death Troopers more reliably. Probably a little bit easier at I4, but yeah, I could see the argument for it being working on Rack.
Yeah, I don't know. I like Rack, and Seventh Sister is really nice crew. I like it over Fifth Brother, especially because it's 3 points cheaper. But you can't do Fifth Brother. Like, you can't do Seventh Sister and Morna because she only's got 2 crew slots. So
yeah.
All right. And then Andrew had the next list. Alex, what is that list?
This is a Alex style Heratani list. So it has Magpulse, Hopeful on Hera, the A-Wing. It's got Boudica with Shield Upgrade Marksmanship. Boy Garvin, which comes with advanced proton torpedoes, and the R5K6 droid, which lets it heal hull cards. Benthic with Hopeful, Generoso, Per Cop, and Pivot Wing. And Boy Hawlockend with advanced proton torpedoes, dorsal, precise astromech. That's the one that lets you get the double modded advanced proton torpedoes, which you can do also with Garvin, because Benthic can pass on the focus and he can lock, or Hera can lock and pass it over to the Garvin. That's a little bit more inconsistent because you have to do it before Garvin shoots. But yeah, you can do fun things. I like this kind of list. Yeah, I mean, it hits hard. You got infinite focus tokens between Hera and Garvin, which is always degenerate. So,
yeah, and I think this type of a list is interesting in the aspect of it's not just a Heratani list. This one is kind of like the mutated, I want to call it the Spider-Man version, right? Because you have those 2 APTs that can just be insanely screw you, right?
you just got to get over there.
Yeah,
and that's the hard part.
Yeah, this list does not maneuver. It's doot doot doot. It's like the typical I don't know, like it reminds me of like a Mario. Like I got to jump a certain way to get on a platform, and I got to be really slow and jump another certain way. That's what this list reminds me of.
I think you've been playing too much of that game.
All right. Let's move on to the next store champ we had in Texas at the Dragon's Lair. Looks like we had a top 4 as well. How Runner dropped out, did not want to play in the top cut, I guess, or I don't know. I don't understand how it dropped out. I have no idea. But we had this is a little bit different. So I'll go over real quick the winning list. Essentially, it's kind of the list we've been seeing a little bit from Crispy. It's not super different. The Wrath is pretty much your standard loadout Wrath. Then we call it the standard loadout Kylo Ren without the missiles. This is the Predator pattern analyzer list. Then, of course, the standard loadout Von Reg, except for this one has Lone Wolf because this person decided they're going to run away and be Cody with Lone Wolf or with Von Reg, because Cody's Von Reg just like does one shot and runs away for 3 turns and then does another shot and then runs away for 3 turns.
I don't know. Every time I saw Cody play Von Reg, it just blows up in one shot.
Well, it does if it gets a chance, but that doesn't always happen. And then this one has Hollow in it, which I like Hollow. But this list is just like, who do you want to die first? Like, who wants to die? 5 health, 4 health, and 4 health. But this Hollow has the same thing: Deuterium Pyro Cells, Mag Pulse, and Proud Tradition. So I like it, but this is a weird AC list that I don't think I could fly.
Oh.
This is not a Chris list at all. I then did pick 2 lists specifically because for the top 3, because one of them has Bo-Katan, and I just congrats on taking Bo-Katan to number 2.
Republic Bo-Katan.
Yeah, Republic Bo-Katan.
Yeah.
This is not CIS. This is a Republic.
Most useless gauntlet there is.
So congrats on doing that, but it did have a May 7B, which I was a little excited about. Then the next. Okay, Alex gets to read that list. That's Alex's list. JJ, what did Alex Nelson bring? Because Alex has to read the Scum list, and we'll explain why in a minute.
So we got Anakin Skywalker in this Delta 7B with Shield Upgrade, R4P17, and Predator. Got Mace Windu in the 7B as well with Heightened Perception, Brilliant Evasion, and R4P Astromech. Bo-Katan in the Gauntlet with the Swivel Wing, C3PO crew, the Gauntlet title, Beskar Reinforced Plating, Contraband Cybernetics, and then Slider with Lone Wolf to round off that list. I do want to address Bo-Katan, mainly because with Gauntlet, Beskar Reinforced Plating, and C3PO, you are not killing Bo-Katan. You're just not. She can do so much work defensively with this loadout that you're going to have to dedicate an obscene amount of resources and time to kill that Bo-Katan. Meanwhile, you're going to have Heightened Perception, Mace, and Anakin coming at you to try to initiative kill you before you can take out Bo, and then Bo is going to shoot you back. It's definitely something that we haven't seen very much at all. I mean, I think this is the first time we've actually mentioned a Bo-Katan making a cut ever, right, for Republic. So
99% sure this is the first time Bo-Katan's gotten close.
I just hope that we see more versions of this because Bo-Katan, despite the comparisons that she gets for like ARC 170s and other things that are cheaper, she does have utility in the Republic. We just haven't really explored it, and I'm glad to see somebody come up with a very defensive version of the Gauntlet for Bo-Katan.
This list right here is a 3-ship list with a
Slider.
weird Slider who has Lone Wolf, which obviously they're running like that should your objective getter right there.
Yeah,
right there.
yeah, exactly. That's just a being run. Yeah,
I've never seen Slider with Lone Wolf ever. But I guess you don't need dedicated in this list, because it's pointless to have one ship with dedicated on it. I don't know. JJ, are you gonna run this for Nickel City League? Yes. The answer is yes.
I think so.
Nope,
I think so. I think so. Yeah.
Our poor team needs to lose even more.
It doesn't, at this point, I don't think we can make cut anyway, so does it matter?
Don't give up. Never retreat. Never surrender.
No. let's
Never
be
give up,
serious.
never
Can we
surrender.
make playoffs, JJ?
Yes, with a
Oh,
lot of help.
All right.
Hey,
Can we
we're
make
not Team Havoc right now, okay? Havoc ain't making the playoffs.
All right. I'm
That-
just saying.
Never mind.
Go ahead, Alex.
No, I was going to ask if that one team that always has been tying, did it tie again?
No, they did not.
Did they win?
Yes, actually, I think they
Damn.
won the last one. Yeah.
All right. I'm just asking personally because I might want to run some stupid FO stuff this week because I have to play Sandy. But I don't know, JJ. You're gonna put this on the table at some point. I just want to see somebody fly this. I don't understand this list. Like, I agree with you that you can't kill Bo-Katan, but I don't know. Like, you could sure as hell kill Mace. Like, Mace.
Yeah.
Whatever. Anyway, brilliant. Okay, brilliant evasion on Mace with 2 dice. I do not. This is very hard for me to comprehend why.
You have nothing else because
I
Anakin
guess.
has R4P17 and Mace just has a mod, an astromech, and 2 force slots. So you like literally have like nothing better to do.
Okay.
Because you can't
All right.
take anything. You can't take extreme maneuvers. You can't take like even foresight. Like you can't do anything. So you're just filling up to. I mean, I guess you can.
LA fuses.
If you don't want heightened perception, you can take like spare parts canister, get another charge on our.
All right, let's keep moving. Good lord, somebody put this on the table or explain to me how this list works. I just this one is well over my Alex, the next list, and we are covering this list because Alex and I had a conversation because somebody, namely me, was in the hospital for way too long, and unfortunately, X-Wing doesn't have list building ability like we used to, and it's nothing like what I had in Destiny. So in Destiny, like you would sit there and spend hours and hours and hours like messing around with list building. We don't get this in X-Wing in the same way. We get some list building, but nothing like I'm used to. And what did I ask you about, Alex? What did I say? Hey, what would be really fun to run?
You wanted to try to break IG-11.
Yeah. So I spent
It
2
doesn't
hours
work that way.
trying to do it. You can ask him. He can show you the receipts. I tried. But this guy, someone brought IG-11 on Cad Bane too, of all things.
It's not the first IG-11 I've seen on a Cad Bane either. That's the scary part.
What is this list, Alex? Tell me what this list is.
Something stupid. No, it's Han Solo, Scum Han Solo, with the title Engine Upgrade, Greedo, Lando Crew, Perceptive Co-Pilot, and Trick Shot, which you do not see that kind of loadout. Usually it's like the Mandalorian and the Child. But you can re-roll with Lando and still use a focus of Perceptive, and then you can pretty much guarantee your 2 hits. Yeah, Quinn Jass with Burnout Thrusters Ion Cannon. It's just a fun, like that's your objective getter because you are fast. You have Dace Bonarn with Mandalorian Notorious Contraband, and the title.
What, guys? Why is Mandalorian out there? Are you just
Because you have 2 points and you can reinforce.
all right?
Why
I'm
reinforce?
confused here. Why you're reinforcing anyway? All right.
Because you have 2 points left over and you want Contraband over Babu,
Fair enough.
I guess. I mean, Notorious you'll see on Dace. I want to go with this Lima, which kills me internally, with R4, Iod, Torps, and Dorsal. And then Cad Bane, yes, with IG-11, Xanadu Blood, Dead Man, Proton Cannons, and Marksmanship. That.
All right. So
No.
Here's the deal. If you ran this list and you somehow listened to this podcast, please reach out to me. We are genuinely not making fun of you. Like I am very impressed that you went 3-1 with an IG-11. And I will tell you what, you can either have a private interview or I'll bring you on the show and we could talk about this. Because this is like, this list here blows my mind more than the 27B list. Like that one, I can at least comprehend a little bit. Like how I don't understand how this list works. And like whatever you've done, please share it with the rest of us who like Scum because if this is some weird secret sauce that we just don't know about, I'm all for putting this on the table, like just to mess with people. I don't care. I'll take this. No, I won't take it to World, but
It'll be funny if you play like Cody with this, and it just shows you the dark side on Cad Bane, and then he puts a crit into you. You don't like lose the dark side because you never dealt the card, but you still get the calculate. And you just do it twice in 2 turns, and now you're just going to blow up on full health.
Oh my god, somebody run this against Cody.
Because like, I mean, or you're spending all your actions are putting the fuse markers back in IG-11. You just kill him at full health, which is hilarious. Like a super niche interaction that will only happen because we're in Michigan.
All right, well, let's not do that.
That would be fun.
All right, let's go on to the St. Laurence Open, and this is what we're going to close with tonight. The St. Laurence Open did not have Resistance on top tonight in terms of faction performance. Alex, you were wrong about that. Doesn't mean they don't show up and do really good, but they were not top performers. Rebels making it out here with top faction and top performance of the whole group. But I will say, I don't know, where'd Scum... Oh, Scum showed up less than CIS? Man, that's weird.
That's the first time in a bit.
I thought both of you, and this is not the first time in a bit, they show up better than faction performance-wise, better than Scum all the time.
I mean, like, in terms of list broad, it's almost always CIS below Scum.
Yeah. They brought more lists, and they performed better than Scum did. So we have Rebel really hands down throwing this one off. We're going to get to the list. The top ship was Black Squadron Ace. There's a reason for that. We could disregard it, but there is a reason for it. And it's pretty funny. We'll get to that in just a minute here. Sabine Red comes in number 2, obviously, because if you play Rebels and you need a 2-point ship, that's where it's at. Keel, Boy Luke, Han, Elo, and Temin again. We know who's getting nerfed this time. Then we look at our they did a top cut of 8, right? I think it was the top 8 that they did.
Yes.
Some familiar faces there. Cam Murray and Brendo taking it down here this time.
Yeah. Congratulations to both of them.
Yeah. Yep. Congratulations. Let's cover JJ. What did Cam bring as a top thing, and why did you not draft him again, even though you could have drafted him in the league and you forgot somehow? I don't know what it was.
I'll address that particular question is because I wanted to give Optics the opportunity to come in as part of our team. I believe in Optics. He's actually been a very solid player for our team. Cam Murray, love you. We wish we could have had you in Nickel City or in the Nickel City League, but I had to draft Tanner.
All right.
But
so
anyway.
You didn't have to draft me. You chose to draft me so I wouldn't give you a bunch of shit. That's why. All JJ's, just so you know, we're gonna break Nickel City League down in like 30 seconds. JJ's strategy is don't piss Tanner off because Tanner's just gonna rant on the podcast and he controls everything. So he's just gonna bitch about it for like 3 episodes.
Oh, don't worry. It's going to be my turn now because you are going to be the next Stars Killers captain next season. So it's going to be my turn to complain about you not drafting me.
I don't know about that, baby. Well,
it's done.
Daughter,
it's fine.
It's not done. Your daughter doesn't have cancer.
It's okay. You just give yourself the bye week. That's fine. All the time.
I mean, you just give me the bye week every week, right? Because I'm the literal bench warmer. That's the whole point.
No, Alex. Then and not unless you're going to draft you last. No. All right. The winner was Cam Murray with the standard loadout Han, standard loadout Luke, standard loadout Hull Oakland, standard loadout Sabine, and then Keo this time has vector cannons, which I approve of. I love vector cannons on Keo. Concussion missiles and Lone Wolf. That's my favorite. I love that Keo so much. But
I like using their ability, so
I don't care. I don't care, Alex. I don't care. I'm just that's my favorite Keo, right there. But anyway, so that's essentially that's kind of what we've been seeing in Rebels. So we don't need to spend too much time on it. I will give Alex Brendo's list, though it is pretty similar to what we went over, except for R2D2. Alex, what did Brendo bring tonight?
Is that the person who came in second?
Yes, sorry.
Yeah, names that aren't on there, That was
All right,
fine.
all right.
Zori, pretty much the one you see, R4 dorsal plasma. Jess Pava, R2D2 jamming beam, 4 charges, and a regen in Jess Pava is just a menace. You have Snapwax Lee, HLC, R6D8. LO, heroic marksmanship, HLC, and then Kari Kun with HLC, jamming beam, heroic. It's almost like we knew what we were talking about when we did our resistance breakdown.
Yep. And congratulations to Brendo. Yeah, they have I don't know. I like hanging out with them. They are really fun to hang out with every time we hang out together. So and it is nice to see Nickel City League people making it higher up. I know they were something before Nickel City, but that's where I learned who they were from. So JJ, what was in the top 4? Which one do you want to cover?
I'll do the rebel list here. So we got Harrison Dula in the A wing with the XX23S strength tracers and munitions failsafe, which that's a combo. Lando Calrissian in the Falcon with Dean Numb, Perceptive Co-Pilot, the Falcon title, and Baston. Keo Venti with elusive and cluster missiles. Bodica with Predator, Beskar reinforced plating and optics, and then Sabine Wren in the TIE Fighter with Beskar reinforced plate. I definitely do like the potential of Hera getting that threat tracer off at range 3 to start off. Personally, I prefer Magpulse, but in this particular list, being able to provide locks for the rest of your list there definitely helps the offense do very well. Lando's ability to get that blue or that blue maneuver action over to Hera so that way she could take an evade and then focus on her turn so that way she could pass that on later on. And then also herself, if she gets a target lock, she can then pass it off to somebody else who may not have a target lock later on a particular ship. You're just providing a lot of tokens for the rest of your list to be able to provide at whatever time you need there. Lando still has that Piston double tap with Perceptive Co-Pilot. So even if he does give that that blue maneuver token to somebody else, being able to still have 2 tokens, super good there. And then for Keo Benzi with elusive and cluster missiles, not the best loadout that we've seen, but it does work when you have the tracers available. So if you have Keo in an opportunity to have a cluster missile shot, Hera can enable that, and hopefully Keo can get some damage out, get some kills out there. So there's a lot of utility for this. This one I feel does a lot more better with objectives. But yeah, it's nice.
So I have a quick question, Alex. So if Lando and Keel are next to each other, do you, with Keel, instead of doing the reposition to get the stress, right? Do you take an evade and then use Lando to give Keel another action to take like a focus boost or like focus barrel roll?
Yeah, you take either the evade or like the focus. With the focus, you can then take a lock and boost for the cluster missiles, or do whatever, because you just make your decision at I-5. It's easier unless you think Lando's going to get blocked.
Okay. So next question: Do you then just run prockets on Keel because of Lando? Like, I mean, is that just a better call? Like, I know you like prockets because you love them, but like to me, it almost feels like here you don't need elusive and you don't need cluster missiles. You got the evade, and you could take a target lock or a focus or whatever the hell.
Yeah, I've always been saying that like you put Keo on prockets when you have Lando, like 100%. Like you can barrel roll with Keo or whatever. You can just focus, and then Lando can give you a barrel roll boost, so you can get that in there, and then Hera can give you a lock if it hits with the threat tracers.
Yeah. Oh man, a double modded procket from Keo. Ooh, that's really good.
I can do that in resistance with Yarrick.
So I do have a question on interaction, specifically with Hera and the Millennium Falcon title. When you pass the token over to Lando, you don't have to spend it, right? You could just hold it and then just re-roll with the Falcons. Oh,
I believe so.
wow, that's good.
Yeah, because it's. I mean, it says while you defend, so I'm not sure if it like breaks that like kind of weird. Well, you didn't fulfill the requirements like the Nantex had, so you can't do the pass off. I'll have to double check. I think you can still do it.
Yeah.
I mean, if not, you can just spend the evade.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's how that works. Because it's a while, not like, hey, you have to have this kind of thing. So I want to say like 90-10. That's how that works.
All right.
I like that.
Fair enough. All right. Next list is a resistance list with standard loadout Zori, standard loadout Lulo. It looks like we have standard loadout Oh no. I'm sorry. We have Temin with R68, Ferrosphere paint, and heroic. It's a little bit different. Elo with Ferrosphere paint and Swarm.
You're seeing that a lot.
Tactics with Elo, really?
Yeah, you see that a fair bit now. Mostly just to bump Jess up to I5. But it won a couple store champs in England. And you just see it just pop up occasionally.
And then you have Jess with BB-8 and Ferrosphere as well. So basically going very hard on the Ferrosphere, similar to what Ryan did. But this time with Jess, it's a little weird to see Jess with just BB-8. Or, I'm sorry, BB Astromech, because that's only 2 charges, right?
Right, but Ferrosphere is 3 points, and PB is 4, and that's all the loadout Chespava gets.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably good because we probably don't want her to have a little bit more loadout to take R2D2 and Ferrosphere paint. I don't know if we want that. That sounds...
Or even one more point, you get Bucket at 3 charges and Ferrosphere.
Yeah, we definitely don't want that. So solid list, similar to what we talked about. If you just tuned in, head back to the beginning of the show where we talk about resistance meta lists. All right, into the top 8. Alex, which one do you want to cover?
There's 3 rebel lists, and one of them's an FO list, so I'll go with the FO list.
All right, go on.
They have more Von Rag, making more return. Shield upgrade Von Rag, though, which is what I prefer because I don't feel like getting one shot. Pattern Analyzer and Marksmanship. You got Swarm Tactics, Fanatical Midnight. You got LeHughes, which is Barrage Rockets and Marksmanship. I prefer that LeHughes over the Pattern Analyzer Proud Tradition one. Just the shooting Barrage Rockets range 3 out the back is really good. Then you got Whisper Kylo with Pattern Analyzer, Proud Tradition, Malice, Heightened Perception, no missiles, and if you want, shoot at I7. Then you got Scorch, the bomber one, with Bomblet Generator, Feedback Ping, and Mag Pulse. So if you really want, Kylo can shoot at I7. Then you have Midnight, Von Reg, and then Swarm Tactics, Scorch up to an I6. And then LeHughes at 5 is shooting last in your 5-ship list. But you're probably not doing a lot of that heightened perception. You're probably just Swarm Tactics, Scorch up to 6, shoot the Mag Pulse, shoot with Midnight, shoot with Von Reg, then LeHughes, and then Kylo. And if Kylo has you bullseye, there's a lot of crits coming your way with Kylo's ability, with all that kind of stuff. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like this list. I like this list. I'm not super sold on Scorch as the bomber, but I don't know. I could kind of see it, I guess.
It's 3 points, and people are really bad against bombs.
Yep. I could see it. Would you trade out like Feedback Ping for Seismics? Or is Bomblet just that much better?
I'd rather just have Bomblet, honestly. Like Feedback Ping can happen and can set up another Mag Pulse if you're really, really into it. But I think just in general, the Bomblet would be better against your opponent with this list, because this list kind of wants to spread out and then collapse on people. And if you're blowing up rocks, you can't do that. They
Yeah,
can escape,
that's true.
and you're pretty spread out, so you can get hit by them.
All right, fair enough. JJ, what list do you want to cover? We have
So
2 similar lists, right?
yeah, we got 2 similar lists here. So what I'll do is I'll actually take the last rebel list here. So we got Bodic Avenge.
Wait. Can we go back 1 second? Sorry to
Sure.
interrupt.
Yeah, go ahead.
When you Swarm Tactics Scorch up, you can use Scorch's ability to give them a strain token at I6.
Ooh.
You have to be range 0 to 1 of them, but you can do it. That's it.
That's spicy.
It's silly. It's not good. Your ship's gonna die at range 0 to 1, but you can do it.
But if you're gonna die, you die with a bang, right?
Unless you are past them. Is it because it's not in your arc, right? It's just 0 to 1, right?
0 to 1. While a friendly ship 0 to 1 performs a primary attack, it may spend a hit result. If it does, after defending, the defender gains 1 strain.
So you just, 2 sloop with your Scorch and hope your Midnight's right next to you between the 2 ships. And all right, never mind. All right, let's move on. Never mind. Let's move on.
All right, so we'll go to the list done by Joust Bunny. This one is Bodic Avenge with Electronic Baffle, Beskar, Reinforced Plating, Predator, and Marksmanship. Sabine Wren and TIE Fighter with the A-Wing with Beskar and Crackshot. Wedge Antilles with Marksmanship and Lone Wolf in the A-Wing. Ahsoka Tano making an appearance with Magpulse, Elusive Patience, and Brilliant Invasion. And then Fen Rao with Beskar, Reinforced Plating, Plasma Torpedoes, Deadeye Shot, and Marksmanship to round off the list. I actually like that particular combo on Fen Rao, and the reason being is that Plasma Torpedoes, normally you would cancel crits first when damage is being dealt. However, if you Marksmanship and then Deadeye Shot, you're basically reducing that crit result back down to focus, and you can flip a damage card that the opponent already has on that ship if it already has it there. So just a nice little bit of synergy there. But definitely seeing the appearance of Ahsoka Tano, this is definitely one of those lists where you can set yourself up to just have a focus token, right? Put your ships in a general area. Ahsoka comes in at I5. She can see where the other ships have moved, use her ability, move Sabine in for like a range 1 shot, which she absolutely wants to do. Go get in somebody's face, and she can crack shot somebody later on. It can be very, very good. And then if Bodica is in range and decides to take a range 1 shot at Sabine, which you probably don't want to do, Bodica is going to be there to get that revenge shot there and hopefully put in some damage there with that Predator Marksman combo.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's different.
Very maneuverable for sure.
I'm a little confused why Fen has plasma torpedoes.
You can Ahsoka, give them the focus so you can shoot it incoming.
All right, yeah.
If you really want.
I guess.
It's not about the efficiency, it's just having that opportunity. So.
All right, so let's be frank. You have to be at range 3, because if you're range 2 with Fen, you know what happens to Fen. Like, he does not want to live. So I don't know. It's not my style of Fen play, I guess. All right. Sebastian ran the standard loadout Han, standard loadout Howl, standard loadout Sabine, standard loadout Kyo to some extent. But we have an Ahsoka here. We have an Ahsoka Tano appearance, which I'm that's crazy, because that's over any other 5-point ship. That's over Luke. Somebody ran Ahsoka over Luke.
When they did in the last list we went over too, right? Like,
yeah. Kudos here. Kudos to running this over Luke. And I'll say Ahsoka's more fun to run than Luke is. And they have concussion missiles, elusive, brilliant evasion, and predictive shot, which I think is just a throwaway
1 point, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, which you never want to use.
Never.
Well, okay, if somebody only throws 1 hit at you, or you throw 3 hits, I don't know. Nope, never mind. I don't know. I don't understand why. Whatever. It's a throwaway.
You have to do it before you roll dice.
Oh, that's even.
You spend the forest and you're just like, I don't believe in this shot.
Should we start a segment that's the most useless upgrade ever in X-Wing? And like this falls into that almost.
That'd be a
Like,
great April Fool's thing. Yeah.
other than 1 point jamming beam.
My angled deflectors.
We're gonna make you pay 1 point for jam. Okay. All right, I'm just. It's sorry. It's been a long week. The last one is Sabine with Lone Wolf. Standard loadout Boudica. Standard loadout Luke. This one has Hera with Mag Pulse and Hopeful, and then Fen with Beskar, Predator, and Crack Shot. Which that one makes a little bit more sense to me than Plasma's Deadeye. It's just my personal opinion, but I don't know. Do you still have Mando optics? All these other things you could be running, but Crack Shot's good. Predator's good. If you're good at lining up bullseyes with Fen and you don't die, they're good things. Anyone have any other thoughts on the list before we end the night?
No.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us for our stream tonight. This has been episode 121. Next week, we will be back with more coverage. I don't know what we'll do next week. We got to do something. Oh, we got to do something fun. We got to talk about why is the 3-ship CIS list the only viable CIS list that's making cut? Like, I don't understand it. I don't get it. Maybe one of you can enlighten me on why I should have to switch the running to fire sprays. Anyway, with that being said, we're going to close out the show tonight. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Have a good night and go Lions. And hopefully they make the Super Bowl so JJ has to win or wear that hat for the rest of the year, because that's the deal. I've been right twice now. I'm just going to throw this out there. I'm going to be a dick and be like, we've made some bets and I've won both of them. Sabine is Force sensitive, and the Lions have a better record than the Giants. So let's keep it going, Lions.
I felt like the Lions could have lost the Giants today.
They
They could have
every day.
Sadly, they did not. So.
All right. Thank you all. Have a good night, and we'll see you next week on the show.
Have a good night, everybody.